Much like Undertale's main character, Frisk, the main character in Deltarune's gender is ambiguous, making it easier for the player to identify with the person they're playing as. Kris's Light World sprite has a very similar color palette to an unused player sprite found in the Undertale game files. Throughout the events of Deltarune Chapter 1, Kris has been given the nicknames Blue Person, Crisp, Chrissy, and Little Buddy. Kris and Chara both like chocolate. Kris takes chocolate kisses from Toriel's room without asking, and feels nostalgic when drinking hot chocolate at the cafe. Flushing the toilet multiple times in Toriel's house prompts Toriel to ask if Kris has been putting bath bombs in it again. Kris's pirouette animation is unique to the Jevil boss fight, marking it as the only custom action animation in Chapter 1. Kris has a history of being mischievous before the events of Deltarune, like hiding under Noelle's bed when she knew she was afraid of humans under the bed, and telling her that the mascot Icy was real. The glow shard item found at the beginning of the game has the description, "Sell at shops," but the item can be also used to spare a Rudin instantly, but it's consumed upon usage. The entities found at the beginning of the Dark World are referred to as wobbly things in the game files, and the one that attack the player are called evil wobbly things. Very fitting. Kris appears to be a conceptual combination of both Chara and Frisk, with similar color schemes and appearance. Also, Kris's names may be a combination of Chara and Frisk to make Kris, when the CH is substituted with a K, or maybe it's just Frisk rearranged minus the F, I don't know, names? When asking Toriel about Asriel at the end of the game, she mentions he likes the green egg-laying lizard from the game Super Smashing Fighters, which is a reference to Yoshi and his appearance in Super Smash Bros. During the drive to school, the player can see a Frogget, a returning Undertale character, in front of Braddy's house, despite the character never appearing again in Chapter 1. Undyne has both eyes in Deltarune, but is missing one during the events of Undertale. Gearson Boom's gravestone can be found in Hometown at the end of the game. The archaeologist from Undertale has a written book called Lord of the Hammer in the library, and History of Humans and Monsters that can be found on Toriel's bookshelf. If the player attempts to open Sans' house, they are greeted with, there's no response but the sound of the Trossel of Bones, in reference to Papyrus and his theme music, Bone Trossel. Ralsei's title changes to Fluffy Prince when the dainty scarf is equipped to him. If Kris stands close to Ralsei for a certain amount of time, he begins to blush. This doesn't work if he's facing downward, and there are also unused sprites of him moving while blushing. In regular dialogue portraits, Ralsei's horns are depicted pointing inward, but after he takes his hat off, they're depicted facing outward. Ralsei's lullaby in battle derived from the leitmotif of the song The Legend, the music from when he's explaining the prophecy of the three heroes. The survey_program uninstaller actually deletes whatever folder the program is in, which can cause issues depending on where the file is located. Attempting to equip Susie with the white ribbon causes her to refuse using it, saying, "Nope, I'm not in first grade anymore." Since all Darkeners have their dialogue portraits colored in and Kris doesn't engage with any dialogue throughout the game, Susie is the only character in the Dark World with a monochrome portrait. Susie is in the third character slot when she first joins the party, but when she rejoins, she's given the second party slot. During the Susie Lancer fight, Susie takes 70% less damage from Kris's and Ralsei's regular attacks. C-Round is the only enemy who defeating it by knocking it out does not affect a no-harm run in Deltarune. After ringing the bell and sending the Starwalker bird away, if the player walks all the way back to the other side of the room, they can meet the original Starwalker. The King's Laugh is a slower version of Lancer's Laugh. There's a hidden NPC simply named Man in the forest that can be accessed by going back and forth between the areas to the right of the Starwalker bird. He offers a secret key item, an egg. This is the only item to not become something else or vanish when returning to the Light World. It can either be put into Asgore's fridge or dropped, prompting the message, "What egg?" It also shows up in subsequent playthroughs. When buying items at the bake sale, the vendors incorrectly ask for 40G instead of 40D, which is an understandable oversight as gold was the currency in Undertale. Interacting with the rock slide used to get into Castletown with Ralsei in your party will prompt him to mention how he has no idea how Lancer made it up there, and suggest that maybe he rode his bike up. The field is the only area in the game that shows the title of the music when entering it. C-Round becomes K-Round by reaching the end of the checkerboard, but in order to get there, C-Round moved in a line and not on an angle, which is against the standardized rules of checkers. If the player walks left before the Susie Lancer fight, they can actually go out of bounds, and using the cell phone out there causes the game to crash. If the player selects all duck parts in the thrashing zone, they're given the unique dialogue when confirming, "This machine sucks ass. Is that okay?" If Kris eats the moss in the prison on the first floor and brings Susie back into the cell, she mentions how they didn't save any for her. The bathroom door in the second floor is called Royal Flush in reference to the poker hand of the same name. One of the holes in Lancer's room has a secret. If the player interacts with it, the game says, "You found 20 rupees in the hole." Unfortunately, it's not a useful currency around here. which may be a reference to the currency used in the Legend of Zelda series with a similar sounding name, rupees. Jevil's the only character in Deltarune Chapter 1 with actual voice acting during his fight, and the line, "Bye bye," is the only line in both Japanese and English to be the same. Jevil's full unused dance animation includes frames with him facing upward and downward. Equipping the Devil's Knife, the item you get from defeating Jevil violently, to Susie prompts the game to say, "Let the games begin," but attempting to give it to Ralsei prompts him to say, "It's too, evil," and he doesn't equip it. When receiving the Devil's Knife, Jevil becomes the item and says, "Take me and do your strongest," implying that the weapon is Jevil himself. It's actually impossible to level in Chapter 1 of Deltarune, as all the enemies run away after reaching 0 HP instead of dying, like in Undertale, so no XP can be granted. Visiting Noelle's dad in the hospital will unlock unique dialogue with her in front of the gates to her house. She questions why Kris visited in the first place, and how he usually isn't so chatty. According to cut dialogue strings in the game's code, the Ralsei dummy was originally going to be Ralsei himself. In the unused classroom, there's a pile of dust, which is most likely a reference to the rabbit enemies found in the forest that are based on dust bunnies. Dark candies are the only item in the game that can't be sold back for half price, being purchased for 40D but sold back for 13. If any dark candies are in the player's inventory when they return to the light world, the game mentions how the ball of junk smells like marshmallows. Much like Undertale, Deltarune is created using Game Maker Studio, a program originally created to give novice game designers access to custom drag-and-drop coding as an introduction to game design, but strong enough as an engine to be considered by developers for real retail games. This video isn't sponsored, I just like the program. In Undertale, a random fun value NPC can be found in Waterfall that alludes to Deltarune. If the fun value is set somewhere between 80 and 89, the player can talk to Clam Girl, who mentions her neighbor's daughter named Susie. In the Nintendo Switch version of the game, returning to the waterfall to talk to her prompts her to mention how you still haven't met Susie yet, and how the time you will is fast approaching, before becoming grayscale and vanishing like a gaster follow. Toby Fox actually directed a Japanese TV promo alongside artist Temi Chang for wrestler Kenny Omega titled Kenny's Quest. The short was supposed to play before the Wrestle Kingdom 13 main event, and uses music and visuals akin to the Undertale/Deltarune style Toby Fox is known for. Hey everyone, thanks for watching another 50 Fast Facts. Backed by popular demand, I've delved deeper into the world of Deltarune and brought back gifts from the new world, in the form of video game facts. If you like what you see, be sure to hit a button to keep up on everything net. Alright, thanks for watching. Until next time.